I'm going live because this is the only way that I can get this video recorded without using all my data and load it up on YouTube where it's available permanently and I can house it. So this is the first of a series for low back strengthening for the first week, which I have a calendar for Earth Mother Yoga. So Earth Mother Studios is live right now because it's the only way I know how to do it. But I had a request for sleep. So I did a quick little video on that, and if you haven't seen it, you can check it out. And that's meant to sleep, and it's also to help your lower back too. But if you're in a moment of pain, which I also understand, that's why I'm starting out January with stillness and movement and stillness. So this is a low back strengthening, so we're going to use movement to bring stillness to your lower back or your mid back or your upper back, depending on where it is. And this is basically a lumbar stabilization series, but we're going to start off very slow. Just 4 moves. The first is on your back, and you're going to find your stable spine. So I'll talk about that in just a second. And then the second is a hollow hold. It's also a Kundalini exercise, and I'm going to give you modifications. And these are modifications that I use when I'm practicing Kundalini and I have to do breath of fire for 3 minutes in a hollow hold. I modify because my body's not going to allow me to do that. And it's not a judgment. So these are just meant to help you where you're at. And then the third one is your standard back strengthening exercise. It's really good if you've had an exacerbation. It's a good place to start once you're not in pain and you can start moving again slowly through a range of motion. And then the last one is hollow bodies with Superman. It's a CrossFit move, but we use it in yoga too, and it returns back to the hollow holds and then adds a little bit of back extension in. So again, it'll work your whole back. And depending on what you do with your arms, it can progress to the mid-back or the upper back involving your neck. So all while we're doing this, you just want to be conscious of your whole spine. So the first step is to bring your awareness into your body. We're going to do that with the first move, laying down. And what you want to do is find ease in laying down. So for me, with my legs flat in Shavasana, this is not comfortable. My back arches up. My lower back pain is mostly from previous injury and from child rearing. I'm going to flatten my back by engaging my core, and I do a practice of articulating, which I'll go into in just a moment. But on the floor, I just want to feel the stability, the stillness of the floor, how it's not moving, feel relaxed, and find that place where my back feels good, but I feel supported. And that engagement is going to happen in the core. And from this position, we're going to go into hollow bodies. So we're going to lift the arms, and we're going to lift the head. And I'm still keeping that lower back engaged. Now, if you feel comfortable here, you're going to stay here. If you need to put the head back, you can do these with the head back, or you can support it. And I've even used a block, but what you want to do is notice how your neck feels. So you do whatever you need to do to your neck, but you don't want to tense it. You want to make sure that you're doing the appropriate thing where your neck can stay relaxed but engaged. So a little rounding, and then you extend one leg and then maybe the other. So the hands are by the side, but they might just be engaging right here. Now, if you start feeling like you're rocking off, put a foot down and then hold this position. So this is your basic move, and if this is challenging, you're going to stay right here when we go into that last version. But you can also play with the arms and see how that affects your whole spine here. So your mid-back, your thoracic, and you can play with one arm or another. So it's really an exploration of what feels good to you, and then release out. So we're going to use that same idea when we come back to the hollow bodies. So it's more like a warm-up. So you spend a little time here. Maybe 3 or 4 minutes is usually what I would take. Sometimes longer, sometimes I never get out of that. But to get to the strengthening portion, we're going to do a few cat and cows to warm up the spine. So place the hands under the shoulders and the knees hip width apart, maybe a little wider, just depends on how you feel stable. Lengthen through the head, lengthen through the tailbone, and then you're going to draw the chin in towards the chest and the pelvis in towards the chin, and then hollow out the body by pressing up and keep the shoulders away. And then draw up on your sex organs, your lower belly. Tuck your chin. And then inhale, come back to a neutral position. Stabilize here. And then lift the head, lift the tail, and then drop the belly and relax it. Bring a little ease here. Should not feel any pressure, but if you feel something in your back, notice where that is, and try to bring that gentle curve into just a gentle curve so that you don't feel any one curve more significantly than others. And then come back into a neutral position, and then just flow a few times out of that, inhaling as you arch and exhaling as you round. Inhaling as you arch and exhaling as you round, and inhaling as you arch and exhaling as you round. And then hold that rounding, and I particularly like this as a stretch. I bring up on my fingertips and really hollow out everything, try to get a little bit more rounding in my upper back while I expand the breath a little bit. And then when I'm ready, I'm going to sit back in child's pose or a comfortable position that feels good and supported. You can open your knees wide if that feels good. Drop the head down, rest for a second. And then you're going to come back up and we're going to do alternate arm and leg moves. So I like to do them slow, and I like to hold them. I find that that's more beneficial to see where in my spine I need to find stability in my core. So if your core isn't firing to help you with this, it's not helping you stabilize, then that's where back pain can really be bad. It can get worse. So you want to make sure you're not feeling pain. So if you're in a period of pain, you wouldn't probably do this, or you could alternate arms up and down if you have an upper back thing, or the legs up and down. But what you want to think about is not how high you get the leg, but how parallel your back is to the floor. So pushing into the floor like you're a tabletop, lengthening through the crown of the head in that neutral spine. You're going to lengthen opposite arm and leg and hold. My palm is down, and sometimes I flex my foot and point my toe down, and then I point it just to get some length without lifting my hip. Pushing really firmly into the knee and the hand and the whole shin. Taking some deep breaths in, relaxing the shoulders away from the ears, broadening across the mid-back, drawing the navel in. Slight tuck in the pelvis and lift of the leg to neutralize the pelvis. And then exhale and place it down. Breathing the whole time you're doing that, just switch legs. Holding here. Deep breaths in, noticing the hand, the knee, the shin, the top of the foot. Noticing where tension is in the spine. Keeping the breath flowing. And relax it down. And again, sit back in child's pose and relax. So if you're coming out of a period of lower or mid-back pain, that's where you can stop this video and you can just do it on your own. If you want to go a little further and progress by building some of the core, you're going to go into hollow bodies and Supermans, like in CrossFit. Really hold these for 20 seconds, like a Tabata. 30 seconds. My assistant Nala is out here today. But you could, you could do it shorter, and I think that that's really important. So I'm going to shoot for breaths instead of seconds. So I'm going to go for 5 seconds, and I'm going to do 3 sets. And then you would build that up. So maybe you start with 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, and you do that throughout the week, maybe adding on and see where you get by the end of the week. So you do it every day, and just see where you get at the end of the week. And you'll notice your improvement unfolds over a longer period. 40 days is a good place. You know, after 40 days of doing this, you'll really notice an improvement. You'll be like, oh, I can hold it for like a minute for sure. Then you add breath work on top of it. So you're going to lay down again. I'm going to start with my feet flat on the ground so you can find that curve. It also helps to put your hands under your rear to create a lift in your pelvis so you can hollow out the body. So this is a good way to begin hollow bodies if you were holding it for a different period of time. But since I'm going to hold it for breaths, I'm going to use bent knees, lift up, and then I'm going to lengthen out my leg one at a time and then count the breath. I'm going to keep my hands down by my hips, trying to get the breath all the way through, and if I can, I'm going to place the foot down and keep breathing. Relaxing my face, relaxing the breath. Do you have to lower a little bit? After 5 breaths, I'm going to release down and immediately flip over. And I'm going to keep the hands by my side. I'm going to do the exact same thing, but this is for the back. So I'm able to come up on my elbows like this because I know where to engage. But it helps to snuggle in. So sometimes you have to put something under your pelvis. But you want to feel the pelvis. And I have to open my legs about hip width apart to get my feet up. So I'm going to lift my feet, and you're not going to see how high because it's not about height, it's about where it feels on your body. So you're going to stretch the arms behind you, keep the head in a neutral position, looking slightly forward and down, and hold that for 5 breaths. Release that out, flip over, and go right back in. Use the other leg if you use both legs, use the other leg. Inhale, lift up, stretch out one or both legs, or neither leg. And it's usually here where I start feeling really warm, and I start feeling differences in sides. So I try to settle into that and just notice that through the breath. What's shaking, because something's going to shake. And what my whole spine feels. Where am I feeling the tension? In my neck, in my jaw, in my quad. After you finish your 5 breaths, flip over again. Find your position, find a neutral spot. This session I'm going to play with my arms a little bit here. I'm going to keep my feet at hip width apart to play with my arms because I'm working more with the mid back for me, not the low back. So I'm going to keep my hips lifted and stable with the strength I know I have. And then my arms are down by my side, head is neutral. I'm going to make a Superman. And hold this position for 5 breaths. When you finish that, flip over for the last round. So if you're feeling good here and you think you can do both legs for 5 breaths, it's a good time to try it. Again, if you're going to do the breaths and have both legs off the ground, you can revert to the one where you lift your pelvis. This does build strength in your core, and it helps align your pelvis a little bit so that you can actually hold the legs up with some stability while building core strength. It's really serious when you do that one. Release. Now my palms were down underneath my rear on that one. I'm going to flip over and do the last one. I'm going to do some strokes with my arms. Again, it's my thoracic that I'm working on stabilization, building some range and stability there. So I'm going to keep my hips in a fixed position that I know is safe for me. Come into my position. Begin my breath by bringing the hands up. And then I'm going to exhale and bring them down. I'm not lifting any higher. I'm just noticing what's happening in my spine as I inhale and exhale with arm movement. Noticing where I am on the ground. Once I've done 5, I'm going to place my hands down. That's the last of the exercises. Push back gently into child's pose. And that's it. So from that, you should feel really warmed up. So you could go into a yoga practice or lifting, or maybe do something, that you do around the house, like, go make dinner or, hang out, whatever you do. But that one's meant to be active, whereas the other ones that I did before was to help you go to bed. So this one is to help build strength in the back for your body so that you have less pain. So you're going to use the movement to help find those spots in your body that need stability and strengthening, and you're going to use that stability that you have from the ground and from your core to help you. Hope this helps, and I'll see you on Sunday.